Hello and welcome to this dev demo where I'm going to show off a little bit of the Tiki Life mod for Ark. I'm going to show you guys what you can do in the mod and what you can't do, but pretty much you can do anything you want. And we're also going to kind of go over some of the assets a little bit, so let's take a look. Okay, so this is an example of all of the building material types. So you've got thatch, adobe, wood, etc. These go on anything you want. So for example, if I switch to the Tiki Life Builder's Kit, which you can find right here under your cosmetics folder, it's always the first one. This is the construction builder's kit. You just put it on your hotbar and anything you want, you can just turn into Tiki mode like this. And you can see how it just goes over every single item and it becomes whatever it needs to be. And then you can just obviously turn it back off by clicking it again if you don't want it. But it does work on any material type. So that's convenient. Also, anything that you see has a chance of having varieties, different variants. So for example, those stairs do not have a variant because there's no gear marker here. But if we go up to something like, for example, this doorway here, these do have variants. So we can like change the variant types here and switch them out, and they function just the same as anything else. So there's different options for some. Some don't have any extra options yet. I am adding more rapidly, so stay tuned for more options as we go. So yeah, that's just an example of all the different building material types, and you can kind of see how these all look different. And I'm just showing how like you use a metal door for those. I do not have tech doors working yet, the barrier walls, but I will be getting those done soon. These are the big behemoth gates. You have different varieties of these. I'm going to be adding a lot more varieties. They function just like a normal gate, and if you want, you can change the variety type just by holding E and switching to the type that you want. And the other thing to remember is some things in the game will have their very own item type. So for example, these are all categories. So you have the builder's kit, and then you have all the signs, all the accessories, all the statues, all the drinks and food. So you go through categories first, and then after you get through all these categories, as of the recording of this video, this one's the last category, skulls, then you get into individual items, so like fridges, air conditioners, storage boxes. And then, so if I wanted to change something, all I would have to do is I would come over here and like, let's say I want to change this chair. I would just simply go to my cosmetics folder, look for the chair, which is right here somewhere. There it is. And I would just apply it. So that's what it would look like as a normal chair. And then I would just choose to add it. And now it has the chair skin. And there are variants for it because we have our little skin settings option. If you don't see that, then there's no variants. And then we can just thumb through the variants and we can choose which ones we want. So it's kind of cool. I will listen to the players. If they want everything to be in one button, I can start condensing them so that you don't have to look for individual items down here, and I can just condense these into one. But the reason why I did that is because sometimes in mods, I don't know what they have and what they don't have, so you're just kind of like running around with one button, like trying to click anything, and you don't really know what they have, aside from reading the huge list. So instead, I just kind of put everything into like separate sections, so you can just kind of see what those options are. So like you'll know like, oh, there's a mini forge, or there's grills, or there's a tech generator. Ironically, we pretty much have every single thing covered, and there are different variants for some of these functionals as well. So I call these functionals. These are just basically like, you know, structures that actually do stuff. For example, the chem bench, or you know, whatever you may have, a grill in this case. If I remove this skin, so you can see that. You know, just like a normal grill, but those are just functionals. And again, those are just all found individually. So you just kind of find what they are. So this is a grill, so we'll look for the grill, which is right here. And then I apply it, and now it instantly takes over all the particles and sounds. I want to talk about sounds and particles as well. So everything gets taken over with custom built code. So everything is top-notch coded. So you don't have to worry about something not working correctly. It's non-destructive code as well. So for example, this completely takes over and dominates all the original code, cosmetically speaking. But it's non-destructive, so you don't have to like worry about something breaking. I know some mods, like for example, this is the replicator, and if I were to pull this off, like the replicator would stop working correctly. But that's not the case here. So let me just reboot the generator here, because I gotta redo this. Here we go. Okay, so the generator's on. So now this is the tech replicator, and sometimes when you pull these skins off on certain mods, I've noticed they don't have code that prevents destruction. But in this case, everything works fine. So if I pull this off, it goes right back to the original asset with the original sounds. Everything's at runtime. So there's it's not broken. I don't have to like pick this up again and like replace it or anything goofy. Everything works perfectly fine with my mod, so you don't have to worry about that stuff. And then if you want to reapply it, boom, and it just picks right up where it is. So if it's already on, it just kicks right on. All the particles turn on. If I turn it off, you know, all the particles stop. Everything shuts off. And then it just turns right back on when you turn it on. So everything should work nice and clean. And it's non-destructive, which I did on purpose. So it's you know, not going to ruin your asset. Because I don't know about you, but I really don't like having to pick something up and put it back down in the game once I have it placed, because a cosmetic breaks my item. So everything should work. If you ever have an issue with anything, you shouldn't, but if you do, you can always just change the variant or just take the skin off and put it back on, or just turn it off and turn it on. Sometimes there's some weird hiccups, but for the most part, everything should work just fine. So talking about what you actually get in this mod, I tried to make sure that this was a mod where people say they need it, they don't want it, they actually need it, because it's just, there's so much you get in this. So let's just kind of talk briefly about what you actually get. You're going to get a whole bunch of categories, and these categories are not just like one or two things, they are loaded. So for example, the signs, let's just take a look at the signs real quick. So these are just the signs, the neon ones. You got an arrow there, and then you've got all sorts of different symbols and shapes and icons that you can have, and they all glow in the dark. And so that way you can kind of like place these on vaults. You can place these on, you know, storage boxes or whatever it is you want to do to make it a little bit organized. And then we have wall signs. So these go on a canvas. So all you really need to do for this is you just make sure that you have a canvas like this. You would need a wall, which I think I need to craft. There we go. And all you got to do is place down the wall, place down the canvas, and you're good to go. Now, I want you to know that some of these assets react differently to canvases, position-wise. So for a painting or a picture, which are considered, let's go over here, these right here, wall decos. So if you have a wall deco, these are going to go right where your canvas is. So if I place the canvas down, and now I place the wall deco down, you'll see how it's like perfectly framed. So most of these are centered, or at least they should be centered. And you can see how they're all pretty much in the middle. They're framed pretty well for where that canvas was, okay? The skulls are actually different. They are dependent on the top section of the canvas. So you want to place the canvas kind of at eye level like this. You want the top part to kind of be near eye level, because this is where it's actually going to be for the center of the skull. So now we'll just place that, and you'll get the hang of it pretty quickly, and then everything else should be pretty much on point for that location. So you're good to go. And if you really want to, pretty much everything in the game has axis rotation. So you can change the axis. You can bend it however you want. You can go up, down, sideways, left, right. I let you kind of do whatever you want. So pretty easy and convenient there. You also have small decorations such as plants or food, which I will show you right now. These use the small deco box. And just so you know, everything in the game will also tell you what you use. For example, the statue says that it uses a medium decor box, whereas the small drinks and stuff, they use a small decor box. So I made sure to include that in the description of everything so that you don't get confused as to what's what. So here we go, we have a small box. We're going to place that down. Just put these however I want them. And we're going to add a drink. And now we can custom change this to whatever we want. We can change these to different drinks, different cups, bananas, food, cheeseburgers, all sorts of different things. Really, the sky's the limit here. And then if we do like something, we can also change the rotation as well, just like before. You can do those, or we can do the Z rotation so it stays on the same plane. So really, you have kind of endless options. We can also change the scale of these. So if we want them to be like tinier, or if we want them to be massive, you know, you really have a lot of options there. So that's just an example of some of the assets for food and drinks. And then we can show you how the plants work here. How plants use a medium decor box. So we will go medium. We'll add some plants. Okay, and now we can kind of position this however we want with our different variants. And that's pretty much how it works. So everything in the game is kind of the same. Just make sure you read the description and you'll know like what's supposed to go where. You can put deco boxes obviously on ceilings and walls. Some things might not look correct, so you're just going to have to pick and choose which you're using. If you do find any issues or bugs in the game with my mod, feel free to join our Discord and let us know. I'm always changing things aggressively and fixing things as we move on. So another thing is, do expect changes, and things are going to maybe be replaced or updated or higher resolution, or it might get optimized a little bit further. But generally speaking, my goal is to make sure that every asset in the game is very clean and runs better than the normal assets in the game. You do have different variants for your main building kits. I can show you what those look like over here. Now you do have a few different variants for your building kits. I'll show you what these are briefly. For example, the foundations do have a few different modes. I can kind of show you what these look like. So you have black stone, which is another variant, and this comes with walls that are very similar. I also have adaptive resolution on, so sometimes the resolution is like popping in and out for this video, so if it looks blurry, it's because the resolution is still trying to catch up. And then you've got Tiki block, which is kind of like a half-buried, you know, statue face looking thing. And then these also match certain things, like up here, for example, if we switch to the wall, if I could make my way over there. You're going to see other variants on walls as opposed to floors, and that's normal. Something like, for example, the glass windows, those are not for the foundation, so, but they are for the ceiling. So some things exist for some, and some don't exist for others for certain reasons. But you can get things to usually match. Like, for example, this is the black stone variant, and that matches the black stone variant for the foundation. Just right here, black stone. There you go. Or if you want, you can switch to another variant. This is regular kind of board look, like boards, like that. Or there is the other variant here, which is this kind of like the, looks like the wall basically. So it's a little bit more simple, a little bit more standard. So you have like a few different options for ramps. Again, you're not going to have all the same variants for everything, but you can kind of pick and choose. If there's only like one variant for one thing and it looks very basic, it's probably because it's not finished yet and I'm working on extra variants. So you're just going to have to bear with me on that. But a lot of things here should work quite well. You're going to notice custom particles for a lot of things, custom sounds. Talking about audio and sound effects, everything should have its own sound or be quiet. It's one of those two things. I do not like loud noises in this mod. This is supposed to be pleasant and quiet and relaxing, so you're going to hear like whooshing water, or you'll hear very low hums or whooshes of sound, wind and stuff. You're never going to hear like loud, clanky metal or anything. And if you ever do, please let me know and I'll try to see what I can do to fix it. Or if you guys have cool ideas for different sounds too, let me know. As sounds are still kind of only like a quarter done, I'm still adding sounds to the minor assets. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And again, you can change anything you want, like all this decor that you can put on the wall. You can just like walk up to it and just like rotate everything, and go whichever direction you want to go. And you can pretty much customize anything. Put accessories up on little pedestals and stuff, and it is what it is. But if you do see anything, just shout it out at me. If it doesn't look right or if something seems off, just let me know, and I'll write it down and I'll fix it. Yeah, that's it. All right, cool. Let me know what you guys think, and hope you enjoy the mod.